Just going around the table, does size matter? No.
No.
Nope.
I'd be lying if it does matter.
It does matter, okay.
Yes.
Does matter?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No.
So wait, yes for the...
All right, guys, it's Hink here. We got another spicy one today. And so some of these, like, whatever clips, I don't even know what this podcast is, but it is the most, like, triggering rage bait stuff. And this is low-key, like, one of those videos that I was pretty triggered by, especially by one of these chicks. But regardless, I still think that there's a lot to learn. And there's actually some people that drop some, like, really good points in this video. So that's what we're going to break down today. But also, if you want to, after this video, go look at some of the comments. I'm going to have Callie put some on the screen, but some of the comments on this video are absolutely hilarious. Like, you should start saying that tightness and width matters. Like, that's hilarious. And even a 747 looks small flying into the Grand Canyon. So there's dudes that definitely get their lick backs on this, but let's keep going.
Now I can see a girl saying, like, if he's got a micro penis thing, but, like, are you saying that, like, would you be dissatisfied if he was average?
That would depend on the abilities.
So starting off, that's actually a decent take. Like, would you be disappointed? And she's like, no, that would depend on the abilities. So at least she's not saying, like, you know, that's an absolute cutoff for me. She's actually talking about, like, oh, it's the motion in the ocean. And so, you know, there is some redemption here, but stay tuned.
Average, like, I think you could...
Like, I think average is like 5 inches, not particularly girthy.
It's a no for me.
No go? Okay.
No.
No go.
But then already, like, instantly she sits to bed. So I got to give the moderator kind of props because he actually does know, like, real size statistics. Guys, if you haven't seen my videos on, like, on real size statistics, like, check those out. But, like, guys, you know, I'm sure there's going to be people commenting in the comments, and all of that helps with engagement. But the medical average, as far as we know it right now, based on actually published literature measured by actual professionals, not just self-reported data, is about 5.2 inches to 5.5 inches, like, period, the end. And so this guy's being a little bit conservative, saying it's about 5 inches, but that's the fact of the matter. If you happen to be courting a girl and D size comes up and she's like, oh, well, if you're not at least average, like, that's a deal breaker for me, then, like, what are you doing talking to that girl? I mean, I'm not trying to, you live your life how you want to live your life. But to me, that would be like an instant check, please. If I was ever dating a girl and during the process of getting to know her, the size of my penis came up at all, deal breaker instantly. Like, that, in my opinion, that should not matter. I'm going to get pilled for a second here, but some of these women have no clue what 5 inches actually looks like, okay? And she's talking about 5 inches non-bone pressed, which is actually significantly bigger than the average, which is about 5.2 to 5.5 inches bone pressed, okay? There's actually a big difference there. And so I wish she would have challenged her and handed her a blind tape measure or something and said, show me what 5 inches looks like, and challenge her to actually pull that up, because I bet you this chick would have no freaking clue. Guys, you need to check out my video on actual female anatomy. On average, the average vaginal canal size aroused is smaller than the average erect male penis size, okay? So just keep that in mind. Real medical facts, not TikTok bullshit.
If it's not girthy, then
If it's
no.
not girthy.
But if it's 5 and girth, then yes. If it's 5, no girth, then no.
Girth matters way more than length, okay? So here's a paper here, okay? And you can read the conclusion here, but in general, now this was a survey data, but the data is what it is, guys, okay? But they clearly say that girth matters significantly more than length. Now, you can get down to it on an anatomical level, and you're talking about, like, the stimulation of the clitoral, like, network that, you know, extends down into the vaginal canal, whatever it may be. But girth matters more, guys. I've talked about this before.
I mean, I'm gonna stick with my answer if size matters
Average
for me.
girth, I guess. I don't
think I'm above average, but size matters for me, so.
Okay.
I think it matters in the sense of what you were saying, like, micro, but
Right.
yeah, average is fine.
Average would be fine.
So this girl at least has some common sense, but she's saying, like, average is fine. Now, guys, like, all of this debate about does size matter, to me, that's just stupid, okay? Because, like, obviously it matters. Like, this podcast or this episode would not have, like, several million views or whatever if size didn't matter, even if we're talking about the discussion point. So there's extremes on either side. There are plenty of women that will literally say, oh, it's how big? Nope, that's a cutoff for me. If you haven't seen my video, you need to watch that after this, because it's actually pretty funny. But also, guys, like, common sense, like, of course average is fine. Average is the average for a reason. It's the average value. It's the value that falls basically within a normal distribution variance. And so to me, it is absolutely asinine that some woman or man would be like, oh no, average isn't good enough, when literally that's where most of the people are going to be, within that standard range, okay? I made my videos about standard deviation, guys. but it's somewhere between about 4.8 inches in length to about, 5.8 inches, okay, is where like 80% of people are going to fall.
Why don't you here show with your hands what you consider to be like, what do you consider is average, and then what do you want? Here, hold it up.
Average. I think you said 5 is average, right? 5
Yeah, but you said average, no bueno.
Yeah, no. But I'm not gonna like put my hands up, but I'm like.
Okay, just tell us inches. Then.
Okay,
Yeah.
7, 8.
So like this is where it frustrates me. Like if you were saying, yeah, I want 5 inches, you should be able to show with your hands what 5 inches looks like, okay? Whatever it may be. But this, I don't want to show my hands because you know that you have no fucking concept of what 5 inches actually looks like. And so that's the shit that really like pisses me off. And this girl's talking about she doesn't want 5 inches, she wants 7 to 8 inches, but then can't even show reasonably within a reasonable measurement like what 5 inches actually looks like.
But I'm not gonna like put my hands up, but I'm like.
Okay, just tell us inches. Then.
Okay,
Yeah.
7, 8.
Okay, so this chick is like, all right, like 7 or 8 inches. First of all, once again, she's talking about 7 or 8 inches non-bone pressed, okay, which is just a different beast. But let's just look at 7 and 8 inches bone pressed, okay? So what percent of men, okay, based on the data that we have looking at standard deviation, the Am I Normal, paper, according to this nomogram using the standard deviation data that we know about as far as when it comes to penile size, the chance of having a 7-inch penis erect or greater is about 0.36% of men. And so this guy was generous and he said, okay, about 1% of men. That's actually far higher. That's about 3 times higher than the rate actually is. So she's actually talking about 0.36. And if we're talking about 8 inches or bigger, the chance of that happening is about 3 in 10 million men, okay? So like the odds that, now I'm being judgmental, but I would guess her body count is pretty high. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But so she's saying that she wants anywhere between 0.36% of the population and 3 in 10 million% of the population. So that's just not real. That's just lunacy. And guys, as I mentioned before several times, I have shorts on it. I have long form videos on it, but body count matters, guys. Here is a paper once again showing that the higher your number of partners, the more the woman is going to rate that size matters when it comes to length or girth, okay? So once again, Hink's hack, okay? If you want to minimize the chance that your size matters, you need to get a girl that has a very low body count, the end, or ideally a body count of like 0, okay? Now, I've also just spent all of this time shaming this woman for her preference, which, I mean, truly, I just think that's because she's misinformed and has no clue about actual measurements. However, guys, I made a video. It's called, like, I've Got Bad News, and it breaks down the importance of size when it actually talks about female big O's. So here's a paper here that says that women who have vaginal big O's statistically prefer a longer pee-pee, okay? That's just a matter of fact. So maybe this girl does not climax through normal ways. If you're a DJ, like, mixing on it, if you will, if you get my drift, she needs deeper penetration, okay? And if that's the case, then yeah, she might need somebody that's bigger or above average, okay? And the bottom line is that's her preference, okay? What she is going off, saying 7 to 8 inches non-bone pressed. Guys, I made a video about Johnny Sins. Johnny Sins, okay, the world-renowned corn star, he is 7 inches non-bone pressed. And so she is literally saying her minimum size is a literal corn star. 8 inches non-bone pressed? Then we're talking about, we're getting closer to like the dreads or the mandingos or whatever.
As big as the cup is fine. Like that's.
What? Hold on.
Not wide.
Not wide.
No. Tall.
Wait, can
I think it's 5.
These are
Yeah.
like.
This is.
No, bro, that's.
No, it's 5. That's 5. That's 5 inches.
Hold on, I'm measuring. I'm getting.
That has to be 5.
Inquiring minds need to know the size, the
I got
height
a
of the
tape
cup.
right here. Hold up, bro. All right, I won't touch the.
There's no way that's.
That is, it's like 6.
That's what I said. I said it's 6.
It's, I don't know if they can see, but it's yeah,
even
it's
if it
6.
was like,
that's an inch. That's an inch above average.
I at least applaud this chick for actually having some concept of reality, and she says like about the length of the cup. I do think that it's just a matter of like optical illusions, that the wider the cup is, the more like the shorter she's gonna say. So I bet if she was holding up like a Celsius can that is much more narrow, okay, like I bet you her measurements would be a little bit different. And so let's see, like, how big is a Celsius can? So a Celsius can is right at 6 inches as well. But I would be willing to get she would have said that, oh, this is more like 7 inches, because I'm not going to lie, I would probably say that's maybe about 6 or 7 inches. But you have to understand that I measure stuff all the time for this channel. But the fact is that measurement is ridiculous. I've said it before, 6 inches non-bone pressed is very big. that is like significantly above average, because most guys have about an inch of fat pad. And so you're talking about more like 7 inches bone pressed will give you about 6 inches of visible length if you have like an average body fat, I would say. I'm not going to go off on my tangent, guys, but that's why it's so important to be lean, because you want to maximize your visible length. I'm not going to go unhinged. Watch my video on bone pressed versus non-bone pressed. But it's such a stupid, asinine argument that people make such a big deal about bone pressed length. The only thing that is good for is tracking progress measurements. That's it. That's the only thing people care about. And certainly no girl is going to be like, hold on, let me see how far into your fat pad I can press my finger. Okay, that's about an inch. So this looks about 5 inches. So I guess you're about 6 inches. It's so stupid. It drives me crazy.
So like, just at least like that is okay.
Oh, at least. Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least like that. But I've experienced like, and it's painful.
This chick starts talking about like, okay, what is the ideal girth? And she puts her hands up like this, and it's a little bit hard to see. Kelly's going to put up a screenshot, but her hand is not like this, okay? It's not even like this. Her hand is actually more like this. Now, this measurement is kind of hard to come by, okay? There's not great data for it. And I've looked at, some data where you kind of measure hand grip based on certain calculations. In my estimation, the average woman's grip like this is probably somewhere around 5 to 5.2 inches. And so that means that if you are with a girl, an average size girl, and she puts her hand around you and you cannot touch, that probably means that you are bigger than 5 to 5.2 inches in general, okay? So with her hands touching, assuming she's an average female, to me, that's about somewhere between 4.8 to 4.5 girth. Right around average, guys, like right around average. And so this chick actually has a pretty reasonable take, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments, what do you think the average like circumference of a girl doing the okay sign is?
It's just painful, so.
It's painful if it's small?
No, girth-wise, if it's like thin.
If it's too thin, she's saying
If it's too long and too thin, then
it's painful. If it's too thin?
Yeah, for the female.
What?
Then it's not that she's saying like if it's longer than thicker. That's
just
kind of
like
what she's
poking.
saying.
Yeah, it's just like a needle.
How would that be? That doesn't make any, if it's a 6 inch and thin versus 6 inch and girthy.
Most girls actually prefer girth.
No, I know, but how would it be
like
painful
if it was
he's...
A needle. When you get a needle, you can't feel.
Are you what? I'm sorry. What?
Let me just to clarify. Let me just explain with my experience. It was like at the least 4 inches, and I was like, cool. I'm not judging nothing. We're cool. I fuck with you. But it wasn't. It was fairly thin. It was like, I want to say like that.
That's
and
probably average.
It wasn't. It was like it was just a painful experience in the moment.
Why would that be? Wait, what, did he have like a fucking razor blade on his penis? How the fuck would that be painful?
It didn't. It wasn't. It was like I felt like pokey. That's the best way to explain it.
That literally
Pokey.
makes no sense. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it
if
just
you had a cervix, you might understand.
Yeah, sure.
If you had like a wide pussy.
Wait, so it hurt because it was hitting your cervix?
No, just the like friction of it, and I get it like it just I
Oh,
can't
man, you should see
explain
an
it.
OBG. Something's wrong with your
I
pussy. bro.
can't
So you guys
explain it. I can't explain it. No, because my man now is great, and we have like amazing sex.
This makes zero sense to me, okay? She's talking about a guy that was like 4 inches, and so technically that shouldn't be enough to hit a cervix, and that had a very narrow girth, like a pencil D, if you will. But she's saying that was very painful. And then mentioned things like, oh, there's increased like friction. Like, how does that make sense when you have decreased surface area? Maybe she wasn't as aroused, therefore there wasn't as like wet down there, and maybe there was, but like, I agree with the guy. And to me, that's such a cop-out to be like, oh, you don't have a cervix, so you wouldn't understand. Like help it make sense based on actually like laws of physics. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. But that's just bizarre to me, guys. But if she was saying that the guy was very long and very narrow, and that would hit a cervix and feel like I was getting stabbed, like that would make sense. But to be significantly below average at 4 inches and to have like a very narrow girth, that just feels like it just wouldn't take that up that much space and wouldn't be able to penetrate deeply. So I don't understand.
What about you? I guess the minimum size or whatever.
I mean,
Into the mic, please. Into the mic.
I mean, I think that the cup is a pretty good rendition in terms of length and proportionate.
That'd be minimum though. Like minimum,
average is minimum for me.
Okay,
So,
and then
proportionate to the rest of it.
girth?
Yeah.
Length or girth?
These chicks are just ripping up. Like one girl said, oh, about as long as the cup. And people were like, oh, yeah, about as long as the cup. To me, it's like a hive mind mentality. And that there couldn't be a girl that would be like this with my hand. Now, guys, I have a really good video based on like actually Him's company had chicks model actually 3D models to determine what was their ideal size. Watch that video because blindly they make the models and then measure the models. And it's shocking what the actual measurements are about what these chicks actually want. But at least she says average is the minimum. I guess I'll give her that.
I want the girth proportionate to the length. So like, I don't want it to be a...
But if you had to choose.
Oh, if I had to choose between?
No.
Girl, you want the girth proportionate to the length? It's so like 6 inches long and 6 inches wide.
No, like I want it to be because right, we're saying like a minimum is what he asked me, and so I don't want that. That's not proportionate.
A 6x6 is literally like a chode.
Certified chode on her hands. Little tuna can.
I mean, in my opinion, clearly that's not what she was saying. She was saying proportional.
Wait, so just to be clear, if the guy was like 5.5 inches and like average girth, done.
Probably be fine.
Done deal. Done deal.
No, that's fine.
No, but that's below what you want.
No, but I said I'd be fine with even 4 inches.
Oh,
and average girth. If it's average
if the girth is average,
then that's fine. I'm not judging. That's cool. Because if you got motion, then that's cool. We're rocking. That's
what
fine.
about you?
Tell me the question again. I'm sorry. I was
So
listening
is
to her.
it like done deal if like average?
No.
No, okay, but done deal for you.
So guys, before we go any further, just take a second to leave a thumbs up on the video. It costs you nothing. It means a tremendous amount to me, and I would greatly appreciate it. It helps this channel grow. But guys, like, hey, how stupid is this shit? Like, well, no, if you're average, I'm done. It's like I'm done. So so you're telling me that if you were to meet a guy that met all your criteria, that since you think like 6 inches is average, he's 6 feet tall, he has 6 inches, he's got 6 figures in his account, and he's got a 6-pack, or let's just say, so he doesn't have the 6 inches, but he pulls down his D, and he's 5.2 by 4.5, okay, and very average penile length, you would be like, no, I'm done. I can't see you anymore. To me, that's just crazy. Like, honestly, she didn't ask me. I bet you she's single, and now maybe just Hater Hink is coming out. But that's just wild. At least the other girls were more reasonable.
And like, do you stop the hookup or do you do it?
I don't think I would stop. I think that's kind of fucked up.
So you would still fuck him, or you wouldn't?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of already in the process of that, right? If I'm getting to see like the size of, he takes it out and I'm like, never mind, we're good. Like, no, I wouldn't do that to someone.
So at least she redeems herself here. She wouldn't be disrespectful to the guy and be like, oh, you got a small pee-pee, like, we're done. Like, LOL, get out of my apartment. She might try to finesse the situation to get out of it. But like, you really like this guy. And, once again, I'm an old school guy where I think that like sex is kind of like a sacred thing between two people that share a very intimate moment. And you shouldn't just be out on Tinder, like swiping right or swiping whatever and just having one night stands. But, she's saying that would disqualify a guy.
Like you might, but then there won't be a second. Like, it's over.
Yeah. I think
damn, very superficial.
Sexual compatibility matters. So like, it really truly does. If you're gonna be with
imagine
someone,
if you're excited and then the girl has like no labia, what would you do?
Now, this is a very valid point, and I'm not going to backtrack on what I said, but guys, sexual compatibility does matter a lot. Now, there's literally like toys that are like significantly bigger than your size that you can put over your D that can actually like enhance your size. Now, that being said, you won't be able to feel anything because your D is inside a device, but it's something that like if people were, desperate or really needed something could do. Guys can become like really good DJs, or they can be really good masters of their linguistics. Like there's a lot of things that you can do. So I don't think it's fair that you should just be disqualified because of size, but whatever, that's my take. So guys, like, let me know what you think in the comments. Are these women complete and utter trash, or do they have good points, or do you think that I'm wrong and they're really the ones that are right about size? I know that there's those of you in the comments, I know what women want, they want 8 inches plus.
Don't do the voice.
I also think, guys, it's very important that you understand that there is inherent selection bias in this. This is a, globally televised network. I don't think most modest women, or at least women that have low body counts, are going to be the ones jumping at the chance to talk about the size D that they prefer on national television. So this, in my opinion, does not represent my reality when it comes to women and dating, okay? So just take that with a grain of salt. There's inherent selection bias. But guys, let me know what you think. If you're watching this and you still want to get bigger, like I did, I put on over 1.5 inches in length, you can consider my course. The link is in the description where I take you through step by step. Or you can just subscribe and follow my content on here where I give you almost all of the exact information. It's just in a much better format with the course. All the ways to find me, if you need coaching or consultation, the link is in the description. Of course, if you want to support my fabulous editor, Callie, link to that is in the description below as well. But remember, guys, you are so much more than the size of your D, okay? There's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. Most importantly, just be the best version of yourself. All right, guys, peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Stay calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.